How do you address disrespect? Disrespect is a not unusual place task that all of us face in existence, and it may be very scary and irritating. However, what if we may want to study from the historical philosophy of Stoicism, which teaches us a way to deal with tough conditions with knowledge and grace? In this video, we can discover 10 sensible Stoic standards that may assist us deal with disrespect in a higher manner as common. I task you to be robust and live with me until the end of the video. Let's begin. 1. Hold calm. One of the central tenets of Stoicism is that it is not what happens to us that upsets us, but rather the way we think about what happens to us. As Epictetus said, people are not upset by things, but by the way they think about them. This means that disrespect is not something inherently bad or offensive. It is our interpretation or judgment of that disrespect that makes us hurt or upset. If someone disrespects you, remember that their behavior is the result of their own mental feelings and experiences, not a reflection of your actual position or value. Doing so can help you stay calm and not let that person's disrespect affect your emotional state. Disrespect may be a jarring experience, frequently main to an instantaneous surge of anger or frustration. However, an essential Stoic precept is to stay calm with inside the face of adversity. By preserving composure, you hold, manipulate over your feelings in place of letting them manipulate you. Imagine you are like a relaxed sea, undisturbed through the outside forces of the wind. When a person disrespects you, take a deep breath and remind yourself that your tranquility is for your hands. Marcus Aurelius, one of the extraordinary Stoic philosophers, frequently reflected at the concept that it is now no longer the moves of others that disturb us, however, our interpretations of these moves. By staying calm, you keep away from the entice of reactive conduct and keep your internal peace. 2. Reflect on yourself. Another important aspect of Stoicism is the practice of introspection and self-examination. Stoics believed that the quality of our thoughts determines the quality of our lives, and that we should always strive to improve ourselves and our actions. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of life depends on the quality of our thoughts." When faced with rudeness, it is important to reflect on yourself and ask yourself questions such as, is there any truth in what the person said? Or, did I do or say something that caused this situation? How can I respond in a way that is consistent with my values and virtues? Thinking objectively about yourself and the situation can help you better understand the event and your role in it. Introspection is the Stoic way to ensure that your answers are based on rational judgment and not impulsive reactions. It helps you learn from the situation and promote personal growth and wisdom. When faced with rudeness, it is important to take a step back and reflect on yourself. Ask yourself why the rude behavior bothers you. Is it about personal insecurities? Are you worried about how others perceive you? Seneca, a key Stoic thinker, advised us to reflect on ourselves every day. This practice helps us understand our triggers and emerge stronger from these insights. Instead of immediately blaming the other person, think about what the situation reveals about you and how you can use that knowledge to become more resilient. With self-reflection, we can transform disrespect from a source of pain into an opportunity for personal growth. 3. Learn to pause. Seneca once said, "When you are angry, you may convince yourself that it is not merely a present evil, but that you have acquired the habit of believing in the importance of self-control and self-restraint." Rationality. They argue that impulsive reactions, triggered by intense emotions such as anger and frustration, often lead to poor decisions and unnecessary suffering. The Stoic approach encourages us to avoid impulsive reactions when faced with disrespect. Instead, take a moment to gather your thoughts. This pause allows us to regain control of our emotions and gives us the opportunity to respond in a more deliberate and thoughtful way. By resisting the urge to react immediately, we can better align our responses with Stoic principles of wisdom and self-control. This approach often results in more constructive and less emotional interactions. When faced with disrespect, pausing is a key Stoic strategy for remaining calm and making rational decisions, ultimately leading to more positive outcomes and personal growth. Learning to pause before reacting is a powerful Stoic tool. If you feel slighted, you may quickly become angry or defensive. But if you do pause, give yourself time to come up with a more considered response. Epictetus, another great Stoic philosopher, taught that we should not be disturbed by things beyond our control. Take a moment to remember this principle. This pause can be as simple as counting to 10, taking a few deep breaths, or even simply removing yourself from the situation temporarily. This short interlude can help you regain control of your emotions and respond in a way that is consistent with your values and principles. 4. Show empathy. Epictetus and other influential Stoic philosophers state that we should look for the good within ourselves, not external things. Stoics believe in the interconnectedness of people and that understanding the motivations and feelings of others leads to better interactions and personal growth. When someone behaves disrespectfully, Stoics recommend practicing empathy. Put yourself in the other person's shoes and try to understand their perspective. Empathy helps you see the situation from another perspective and realize that the person's disrespect may not be personal or intentional, but rather may be caused by their own insecurities, fears, or ignorance. Empathy also helps you feel compassion for the person and reduce your negative feelings toward them. Empathizing with someone who has disrespected you can help you avoid taking their words and actions personally and respond with more respect and dignity. Empathy helps you understand the person's perspective, emotions, and motivations. Instead of getting angry or defensive, you can respond with kindness and respect. This helps you avoid escalating the conflict and preserve your own dignity. Empathy also reflects Stoic principles such as wisdom, compassion, and self-improvement. It allows us to learn from difficult situations and grow as people. Practicing empathy can help us deal with disrespect in a more positive and constructive way. Empathy is fundamental to Stoic practice. When someone disrespects you, it is helpful to consider the other person's perspective and the possible reasons for their behavior. Often, disrespectful behavior stems from pain, insecurity, and misunderstanding. Approaching the situation with empathy can help you diffuse your own anger and, in some cases, address the underlying issue. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that everyone has their own struggles, and understanding them helps you develop compassion. Instead of seeing the other person as an adversary, try to see them as fellow human beings who are flawed and struggling just like you. This shift in perspective can turn a conflictual situation into an opportunity for connection and understanding. Before we continue, consider yourself an exception for getting this far in the video. Now that you've demonstrated your strength, watch the video to the end. 5. Focus on virtues. One of the main ideas of Stoicism is the development of virtues such as wisdom and courage. These are qualities that help us live well and act rightly. The famous Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote that virtue is nothing other than right reason. This means that virtue is the same as rationality and conformity to the natural order of things. Stoics believe that virtue is the greatest good in life, and everything else is indifferent. When faced with contempt from others, Stoics teach us to focus on virtue in dealing with it. This does not mean that we should ignore or tolerate that contempt, but that we should respond in a way that reflects Stoic values and principles. Focusing on virtues allows us to avoid being influenced by our emotions, maintain our dignity and integrity, and grow as people. Stoicism challenges us to be the best version of ourselves, even in difficult situations. In Stoicism, virtue is the highest good. When faced with disrespect, instead of getting caught up in negative thoughts, focus on responding in a way that reflects your virtues. Ask yourself, what would be a wise response to this situation? This could mean responding with patience, kindness, or silence. Focusing on virtue allows us to act on our highest principles, not our momentary emotions. Seneca advised us to strive to be virtuous in all situations, regardless of how others behave. Focusing on our own virtues not only helps us maintain our integrity, but also sets a good example for others. 7. Use humor. Sometimes a little laughter can go a long way. As the ancient philosopher Seneca said, a person has control over himself when he knows how to deal with things that should not be taken seriously. Stoicism teaches us to control our emotions and act rationally, but at the same time it also recognizes the value of having a sense of humor when dealing with difficult situations. Humor helps us to keep our emotions in balance and prevent us from getting overly angry or upset when someone betrays us. Instead of giving in to our emotions, we can respond with a witty remark or a playful joke. Of course, humor should not be used inappropriately or excessively, but it can be a useful Stoic technique to deal with rudeness in a way that leads to a more positive and peaceful outcome. Humor is a powerful tool that can help us deal with rudeness gracefully. Doing so can lighten the mood and help us not take things too seriously. Adding humor to a situation can help ease tension and avoid the negative emotions that accompany rudeness. Marcus Aurelius believed that life is short and should not be wasted on anger and resentment. By incorporating humor, you remind yourself that not everything deserves a serious response. This does not mean taking serious issues lightly, but rather, it means looking at the bigger picture and finding a way to keep rudeness from ruining your joy. 8. Set clear boundaries. To be a Stoic is not to act like a doormat, but to be a rock that stands firm in the face of disrespect and injustice, a rock that knows its own worth and demands respect from others, a rock that can control and forgive what it can. Let him do what he can't. If someone treats you disrespectfully, you don't have to put up with it. You don't have to get angry either. You can remain calm and assertive. You can tell others that they are wrong. The Stoic thinks about what they have done and how they would like to be treated by them. You can set clear and reasonable boundaries to protect your dignity and self-respect. This is what Stoicism teaches us. Stoicism teaches us to be strong, righteous, and courageous. It teaches us setting clear boundaries is essential to maintain self-esteem and to ensure others treat you with the respect you deserve. If someone does not show you respect, it is important to communicate your boundaries firmly and calmly. Seneca emphasized the importance of standing up for yourself while remaining calm and collected. Being clear about your boundaries helps others understand what is and isn't acceptable, making you less likely to be treated disrespectfully in the future. It's a way of protecting your mental and emotional well-being without resorting to anger or retaliation. By setting boundaries, you demonstrate self-respect and teach others how to treat you appropriately. 9. Choose to forgive. Imagine that someone disrespects you. How do you react? Do you get angry or do you let it go? There is some wisdom in the ancient philosophy of Stoicism. Stoics believe that forgiveness is a gift to yourself, not a favor to others. But forgiving is not easy. It doesn't mean forgetting or tolerating what happened. It means choosing to let go of the negative emotions that hurt you more than anyone else. Stoics say that we should forgive everything, but not indiscriminately. We should forgive wisely, with compassion and justice. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we cannot. We cannot control how others behave, but we can control how we react. We can choose to forgive and free ourselves from the burden of anger and resentment. We can choose to move forward with a sense of peace and serenity in our hearts. This is what the Stoics mean when it comes to forgiveness. It is a strength, not a weakness. It is a victory, not a surrender. It is a reward, not a sacrifice. Forgiveness is the ultimate act of self-care and personal growth. Forgiveness is a powerful Stoic practice that frees you from the burden of resentment and anger. If you have been disrespected, holding on to a grudge will only harm you in the long run. Instead, choose to forgive the person, not necessarily for their sake, but for your own peace of mind. Marcus Aurelius advised us to look at the offense with compassion and seek to understand rather than condemn. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting or condoning the offense, but it allows you to let go of the negative feelings associated with it. By choosing to forgive, you free yourself from the cycle of anger and pain and move on with your heart. 10. Change your perspective. Perspective is the ability to see things from a broader, more objective point of view. It helps you avoid overreacting or taking things personally when someone doesn't show you respect. Rather, it helps you understand that disrespect is not a big deal if you look at it in the bigger picture of things. As the Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius said, "Our lives are what our minds decide." Using perspective, you can see that most instances of disrespect are minor and temporary. They don't affect your true worth or happiness. You can also recognize that disrespect is often a reflection of the other person's ignorance, insecurity, or weakness, not your own. Instead of worrying about it, you can choose to ignore it, forgive it, or learn from it. Perspective also helps you focus on what really matters in life, your goals, values, and virtues. You can focus your energy and time on pursuing what is beneficial and meaningful to you, rather than wasting it on resentment and revenge. Doing so will help you live a more fulfilling and peaceful life. Changing your perspective is an effective way to deal with disrespect. Oftentimes, our initial reactions are based on a limited view of the situation. Changing your perspective helps you see the bigger picture and understand a situation more objectively. Epictetus taught that our perceptions shape our reality, and by changing how we perceive events, we change our experiences. If you've been treated disrespectfully, try looking at the situation from different angles. Ask yourself if the disrespect really affected you internally, or if it was just a fleeting moment. This broader perspective can help you realize that many things we take personally aren't personal at all. By changing your perspective, you can turn negative experiences into learning opportunities and maintain peace of mind. So, next time you face rudeness, remember to change your perspective. This will help you stay calm and act wisely. Always remember that Stoicism is not about suppressing emotions, but rather managing them well. By applying these 10 principles, you can stay calm and strong even when faced with rude attitudes and disrespectful acts. Give us a thumbs up to help us reach more people who seek ancient wisdom. If you're new here, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more lessons. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.